So hello and welcome to the Ecoholics Heart to Heart with Toppers. Our guest for today is the RBI DEPR Grade B topper, Parul Singh. Welcome to the show, Parul.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here.
We hope that you could let the little secrets out since you have emerged victorious. So I am very intrigued about the result checking story and the family celebrations that follows. So can you tell us about that story?
So, sir, first of all, the timing of the result was very apt. It was a day after my mother's birthday and just 2 days before Diwali. So the celebrations were like on full swing. I was coming back from somewhere with my mom, and one of my friend who had also given the interview called me. So because I was driving, so I could not check at that time. But once I reached home, then I saw that there were like so many messages on Telegram. So I knew that the results were out. So then quietly, I did not tell anybody that the results were out. I just went and checked it on my bed. Then I realized that okay, it is there. And because they do not mention the name, they only mention the roll number. So I had to check it like multiple times. I checked it thrice before actually going, and then I just calmly went and tell to my parents that see, I've cleared it. And then it was their reaction that I realized that okay, this is a big feat, and they were very happy. They were like, okay, sarkari naukri mil gayi. And because like both my parents are also in government service, so like since childhood it has been such a the glamour associated with the government service. So everybody was there very happy. And then because it was just like 2 days before Diwali, then everybody was coming and we were going. So everybody congratulated me, and like it is now like after 10-15 days that the feeling has finally synced down.
But the celebration must not have stopped till you're joining the organization, right?
Yes, sir.
So we would also we know about your background, but we would also be very thankful if you would give a brief background about yourself to the aspirants.
So I'm born and brought up in Delhi itself. I completed my schooling from Ryan International School. Thereafter, I pursued my economics honors degree from Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University. I completed my graduation in 2019. Then I pursued Masters in Economics from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I completed it last year in 2021. I also gave the civil services interview in 2021. So actually the journey isn't, the journey has been a little long. So because the results were out in June, so that I could not make it to the final list after giving interviews. So I went through a deep, like very sad phase that I was so near and I could not make it to the final list. And but then finally this great opportunity was waiting for me. So this time between June till October, November was very difficult for me personally. But then God has its own plan, and now I'm very happy.
And we are very happy that the monetary policy at least is in good hands now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so what was the motivation behind getting into RBI specifically?
RBI is a very reputed organization, and it is known for its work culture, the professional ethics it upholds. It has a good salary, and the overall work culture is very good. So that's why it was something that just came along while I was preparing, that I took economics as a field of specialization in my master's also, because I knew that economics had many opportunities and RBI was one of them back then also. So It was also one of the career options for me always.
Okay, so you had thought beforehand only, like with civil services, you would be preparing for RBI?
Because I had covered, I was covering economics optional, so I knew that the syllabus was quite overlapping. But this was my first attempt at RBI, and luckily, with God's grace, I found it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I would like further go into the aspirants queries which we have got. What was exactly the approach towards the syllabus, since it is not very well defined, as people say? So how did you approach the syllabus then?
Yes, sir. Actually, the sources are very even if we look at the past year questions, only just 2-3 years questions are available. So first of all, I went through them. Then I realized some important areas. For phase 1, micro becomes very important. Micro, macro, the basics become very important. So you have to be very thorough with the basics, like something as trivial as elasticity, and like these basics have to be very important. So that would help you easily go with phase 1. When it comes to phase 2, you have to do very selective and reading. I personally found that questions from growth and development and international economics were getting repeated, so I focused primarily on them. And also this was a little different from this. I personally inculcated to enhance the quality of my answers that I read the RBI bulletin of July months, because the exam was in October, or was in August, the main exam. So by reading the bulletin, I got to know many new words like black swan event and many economic terms. So in my answers, I made sure that I had inculcated that terms, so that enhanced the quality of my answers. And also I did a lot of answer writing, because I knew that I had already read the stuff. So it was mainly answer writing. I solved around 8 to 10 mock tests.
Okay, so since you have talked about a little about the RBI bulletin, can we know your sources for micro, macro, statistics, and econometrics? If I'm not wrong, that is the brief diversification.
Yes. So for micro, I read H.L. Ahuja. For macro, Freuen. Econometrics, I had completely left it. I had like no single idea of a word, because I had read it back in graduation. And in exams also, I strategically just while attempting the phase 1 exam, I first completed all the questions, and for econometrics, I simply left those questions because I knew there was negative marking. But I was a little confident that if I could do the other, if I could do my strong areas well, like micro and macro, then I would make it. So I strategically completely left econometrics. I did not attempt a single question of econometrics, neither in phase 1 nor phase 2. This was a risky attempt, but I had no other option. I focused on grabbing the low-hanging fruits.
So again, from your answer only, how did you identify the low-hanging fruits?
See, micro and macro are very overlapping when it compares to other exams also. So for micro, I think the basics are the low-hanging fruits. If you are very thorough with your basics, then you can easily sail through in almost all economics-related exams. So for that, those are the low-hanging fruits, I guess. For micro, macro, international, and growth and development also, there are some repetitive questions. So just go through them. You have to actually very strategically prepare, because otherwise the syllabus is very vast.
Definitely. So I'm like bowled out with the bold step you have taken of leaving econometrics altogether, because people in general are very apprehensive and they try to capture as much as they could, but in the examination you need to, in competitive examination specifically, we need to identify which sources are referred to and which questions are from which topics. Now I would also like to know about the phase 1 strategy, because it is an objective kind of paper. So the attempting of questions becomes pretty important. So how did you define, like in an hour, what would you do, and so on?
So firstly, I just went through all the I went through the questions one by one. I went on solving them and attempting them then and there. At the same time, I also marked the questions which I had left for review. Like some questions which were long in solving, so I had marked them for review. There is that option there. And in this meanwhile, I had left all econometrics questions. I did not even mark them for later on. But I made sure that the questions which I were attempting, they should be like 100% correct. So in that first round, I did this. In the second round, I went through the questions which I had marked for review. And in the third, I just made sure that I had not left out other questions which I could have done. So I figured, I do not remember exactly, but I left like 10 questions around which were of econometrics. So my strategy was very clear, that I would do only those questions, and I would actually prepare them very well. So beforehand only, I had solved a lot of questions from micro, international. Also international plays a big role. So for phase 1, I guess micro, international, and macro, and also statistics. But statistics is easier. Like there are some basic formulas, so if you revise that would help you. So for phase 1, micro, macro, international, and statistics. And for phase 2, it was growth and development, international, and RBI bulletin. And some current affairs reading, the newspaper and all, because it helps you build the language.
Definitely. Oh, that's pretty amazing. I will all again appreciate your strategy for phase 1. Now coming to phase 2, I think selecting the questions, because you are given options, becomes very important. And again, I think the similar strategy would be followed, like how you eliminated econometrics from the game and still won the battle.
Actually, it helped me in the exam, because I did not had to choose the option. I only had to eliminate the econometrics questions. So then I was left exactly with 5 questions which I had to attempt, and I had no other option other than that. So I just attempted those 5 questions, and because the time is ample, you get 3 hours, so one can easily do that. So I made sure that I added significant value addition to it. I incorporated terms, as I mentioned, from the RBI bulletin, and also I had gathered a lot of. For example, there was data. There are also GS type questions. Something was related to women empowerment, schemes on women empowerment. So a thorough reading of the newspaper also helps. So I had because I was also preparing for UPSC, so I had a good understanding of the newspaper, and also I had incorporated GS, value addition, and the basics of economics. So while answering, I remember while answering even the basic questions, like something like women empowerment, which might seem, and inequality, which might seem very GS type, I incorporated economics concepts from growth and development, like backwash effect, spread effect. Inculcating economic concepts is very important.
So interrelating the topics and inculcating economics in the general answers as well. Yes. You seem to be a pretty aggressive investor, I would say. High risk, relying on high risk and high return.
Yes.
But okay, that's awesome. So coming to the experience with Ecoholics, can you brief us about how did Ecoholics help you?
So it was a very enriching experience, especially in the interview guidance program. Like, because already I was not shortlisted in the UPSC, like I could not clear the UPSC interview, so I had developed a very adverse kind of feeling towards interviews. And my mock interview with Ecoholics also did not go well. But after that, the panel gave me a very detailed feedback, and I made sure that I inculcated all those changes. And because they made me realize that I had read like a lot of things. I had read the annual report of RBI. I had read the RBI bulletins and all, and many publications. But they made me realize that I was not able to impart. I was not able to show that I had read it. And so after that interview, which did not, after that mock interview, which did not go that well, but the feedback was very detailed. So I made all those changes in my strategy. And later on, I had a 1-to-1 session with Sanat sir, which was very helpful. He helped me boost my motivation. And in that session also, I remember asking Sanat sir that, sir, I have not read econometrics at all. And like they expect us, because it is a research oriented field. So they expect us. Sir said, you just relax, you'll do well. And just be honest and be yourself, you'll do good. So I think the marks are not out, but I think that I might have done well in the interview. That's why. But that 1-to-1 session with Sanasa was very helpful.
Thank you so much, Parul. Now, coming to the last part of the interview, every topper has a great support system behind them, and we would be looking forward to know who have been the pillars of your preparation.
The last few months was actually very difficult for me. Like, I cannot even describe them in words. But the only people who stood by me were my parents. Like, they have been an incredible support system. My inspiration has been my grandfather, my late grandfather. Like, because of him, I always aspired to become an officer and nothing less. And my support system have been my parents, who have always stood by me, and my brother. And also, I have a joint family, so my entire family, they always had like a lot of faith in me. And I also have like few close friends who would always like call me and ask me like, "Are you fine?" Now, like when I was sad, then they will ask me, "Are you fine?" I say, "Yeah, ab theek hai." But most importantly, my parents, they never made me realize that. Like, they were always like, "Ki ho jayega." Like, just have, and they, like, the amount of faith all these people had on me, like that helped me to move forward in life. And like, one important thing that I realized, that till the time you just don't do away with the baggage of the failures or your past successes, you cannot just move forward. So they motivated me to start again from scratch and have faith in myself. So it was the support and motivation of my parents, my brother, and my cousins that helped me to now like actually become an officer.
That's amazing. I think the same way you think, that these people, that's why I said pillars of your preparation, because without them, we in especially in competitive examinations, we tend to be despaired, be sad. Even the mock interviews, if are not going well, we tend to get like underconfident. But I think any mock before the actual examination, if it is lost, the war should be won at last.
Like, all my success, I owe it to my parents, my brother, and my cousins, and a few friends. And also the support system, like Ecoholics and all these institutions who are helping us.
Okay. So thank you so much, Parul. I would say Officer Parul, for taking out time in these times of celebration. We wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much.